Today I want to talk about Ohio State quarterbacks Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, and Jack Miller. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related, we have a good time. I want to talk about Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, and Jack Miller. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I have never been more certain that if we get to play college football, you are going to see the backup quarterbacks. Because the virus has an opportunity to wipe out, as you saw with the Miami Marlins, lots of the team at once, right? And let's assume that for 1 second that Jack Miller, CJ Stroud, and Justin Fields are not all in the same quarterback room, which gets you into an entirely different bucket. But let's assume that they're separated. And Justin Fields has the virus. Who's going to be your starting quarterback? That's the question that I have. So to back up here, Justin Fields proved to us that he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country last year. Even as through to the Michigan game, the criticism of Justin Fields' game is that he looked more like a complement to the offense rather than a feature of it. And that's actually how you draw it up when you're playing quarterback. And when you ask that dude to play quarterback, not everybody's going to be Kyler Murray, who passes for 4,000 yards and 1,000 yards because he had to. The thing about that Oklahoma team in 2018 is that it was supposed to be Rodney Anderson's offense. It was supposed to be hand the ball to that cat and let him run roughshod over folks because his last 5 games of the 2017 season solidified that. He is a bell cow when he is healthy. He just could never stay healthy, and he's still having those problems with Cincinnati. I wish him well. But Kyler Murray had to pick up the slack almost certainly as soon as September in UCLA game, and that's how you end up with a guy that's passing for 4,000 yards and rushed 4,000 yards because you're not sure what you got to tailback. Kenny Brooks proves he can do the job, but Trey Sermon also proves he can move the job, and we're going to get to that. But at Ohio State last year, J.K. Dobbins rushes for 1,000 or 2,000 yards over 300 attempts, right? You got a Marcus Crowley who averaged 9.5 yards per carry. And you got a Master Teague who finished all Big Ten third team. Add to that, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson were absolutely awesome. Benjamin Victor was Benjamin Victor, making the hard catches look easy and the easy catches look really hard. Frustrating. However, when Fields went down with the knee injury in the Michigan game, we saw Chris Chugginoff come off. I saw Chris Chugginoff at West Virginia. I saw him get destroyed by Oklahoma. I wasn't sure that Chris Chugginoff should even be out there on that field, let alone that he could perhaps take Ohio State the rest of the way to the Big Ten championship game and eventually the college football playoff. But we didn't have to answer that question because as soon as he went into the tent, like a series later, Justin Fields comes out of the tent, goes in, takes a snap from center, rolls to his left on his bad left knee that has a knee brace on it, and throws a dime to the back of the end zone to Garrett Wilson. It was the play of the season for me for Justin Fields, and it was the play that solidified him as a Heisman contender and a Heisman finalist. Before that play, I would argue that Justin Fields had not shown his utility in that you need him in a way that so many quarterbacks are needed in their systems because everybody else was so good, right? It's a Steph Curry issue. It's when you look around at the other 4 guys around that dude, you're like, man, if you have 3 guys that can knock down shots and you got a stretch 5 and you got a 4 that can guard 5 positions, Steph Curry doesn't seem that good. Turns out Steph Curry really is that good. The same thing with Justin Fields. So in 2020, where the virus can be just the nuisance that it is, you have Gunnar Hope, you have CJ Stroud, you have Jack Miller. Gunnar Hope, grad transfer from Kentucky, played a few snaps last year. Don't expect much out of him. So assuming that Ryan Day believes that Gunnar Hope ain't it, and he goes the way of, say, Drew Chrisman last year, you're looking at CJ Stroud or Jack Miller. Jack Miller has the Arizona State career passing touchdown record with 115. He is capable of passing for more than 3,000 yards in a season. He averaged 248 yards passing through the air, and he was the first quarterback that Ohio State got committed. CJ Stroud is interesting because CJ Stroud's maturation and come up mirrors that of Joe Burrow. So CJ Stroud ranks 838th in the 247 Sports Composite to start 2019. goes to opening regionals, goes to Elite 11, gets to Elite 11 finals, wins the MVP, and is a 5-star for a lickety-split second before dropping down to 4-star, but you can understand what happened there. He goes from 838 to top 40 prospect, number 2 pro-style quarterback in the 2020 class. He also increased his completion percentage in high school from 60% as a junior to 66% as a senior. Then, add to that, he passed for more than 1,500 yards more than the previous season with 47 touchdowns at Rancho Cucamonga, right? He also has the same flair for the game and feel for the game and movement for the game as Justin Fields. He's very comfortable moving. He's very comfortable when the play breaks down, and he does have tremendous accuracy. One of the things that intrigues me about Ohio State's offense is just what Ryan Day will allow the quarterbacks to do or not do, and how Justin Fields has been great at moving to throw and looking to throw. And they can still run variations of that zone read and that power spread when they need to. But the thing was, they didn't have to. Against Penn State, which had a consensus All-American in Micah Parsons, among others on the defensive line, they showed their dominance in being able to drive the length of the field, 92 yards, on the opening possession against Penn State without throwing the ball. When you have J.K. Dobbins rushing for over 2,000 yards on 300 attempts, you understand you don't have to throw the ball unless you want to. So Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson didn't get nearly as many opportunities to show out, along with K.J. Hill or Benjamin Victor, who had that habit of making the hard catches look easy and the easy catches look hard to show out, right? They didn't get that. Now, in this year, it feels like they're going to get more of an opportunity to show out than they had before. Garrett Wilson full-time in the slot, Jackson and Jigma Smith, Jamison Williams, Mookie Cooper, Julian Fleming, the number 1 wide receiver in the 2020 class, and for many people, the best non-quarterback in that class. And then you get to add more to that in Trey Sermon, who I expect to start the season at tailback for Ohio State because Master Teague is coming back from injury and because you don't know what you're going to get out of Marcus Crowley. But if you had all of those assortments, or that assortment of talent, you would look at Justin Fields and say, hey, man, be Justin Fields, but also just run the offense. Which one of the quarterbacks behind him do you trust to do that? CJ Stroud, Jack Miller, or even Gunnar Hoke? To which I would say it probably depends on which one has the best rapport with the skill players when we're talking about chemistry and understanding where guys fit and understanding the timing of the routes. And then which one of those guys gives you something that the other does not in the form of being able to make up for a play breaking down or being able to make something happen where somebody else couldn't, right? As an extreme example here, Jake Luton at Oregon State is a statue, right? He got drafted, I think, in the 5th round. But you don't expect that guy to make something happen when the pocket closes in on him. Kyler Murray is exactly that guy. And I think CJ Stroud is more that guy than Jack Miller, which is why you would probably give him the start over a guy like Gunnar Hoke, right? Now, the silver lining for this is we all want to know the story of the heir apparent. The only thing we like knowing more than the starting quarterback is the succession plan. Who's next, right? This is why Spencer Rattler was such a big deal at Oklahoma, even during the 2019 season, when folks would call for him to replace Jalen Hurts when Jalen Hurts put the ball on the ground, right? I didn't appreciate Jalen Hurts as much, but I wasn't calling for Spencer Rattler either because I didn't want him to lose that redshirt year. I also could get how you don't want to burn up a CJ Stroud if you don't have to. You want to keep the red shirt, but you'll be able to redshirt one or the other is what you're thinking. But in the age of the virus, you might actually have to play all 3 or 4, right? In the case of Hope. I find that to be really fascinating because CJ Stroud feels like the heir apparent. Jack Miller could be the heir apparent, and this would help us distinguish which one of those guys is going to have the head start going into the 2021 season after Justin Fields is gone. However, we might throw this entire season out. We might throw this entire season out because of the pandemic. We don't know how many games we're going to be able to get in. We don't know whether or not that conference game schedule is going to work for them. Like you would normally get tremendous playing time out of beat-em-up games like Bowling Green State for Ohio State, but you don't have those anymore, right? The most you got is like Nebraska or Rutgers. That's your beat-em-up. That's as close as you're going to get to getting those guys experience. and they might go right into the frying pan, right out of the fire. Woof. That's it for me. Deuces.